one and I have put down to here to help all of you would be quite exciting. So before we start onto the presentation, we know agentic AI as a discussion has been going on for like 6, 7 months or even more than that. And all discussion always happens like, okay, agentic AI is something that is coming. Agentic AI is a benefit or a market disruptor that is upcoming. So I wanted to start with a different note. Rather than saying, oh, it will be here in 3 months, 6 months, this is a data that shows agentic AI is already here and it is disrupting many of our existing capabilities or the way we work onto the internet. Three simple data points. First is a data point that was shared by Klarna, a BNPL player, that all the shopping that is done through an agent, through an AI agent, assisted agent, has seen an uplift of 15 to 20% of conversion rate. I don't know how many of you here are from e-commerce background, but achieving any thing north of 10% in conversion is a huge achievement. People get promotions left, right, and center. If you are able to increase the conversion on any of the features that you have rolled out by more than 10%. And as per Klarna, AI agent assisted shopping has helped increase the conversion of almost 20%. That's huge. Another important point here is now quite small. This is a report from 2024. So this is not something that was reported in the last quarter. This is something that has happened already. Second data point is coming in from Alibaba and Taobao, where they said, again, agent-assisted shopping has helped increase the average order value by 30%. So people are shopping more when they are using agentic AI to help. And third, from OpenTable, which helps in your booking for your restaurants and all, is the reservations or the confidence has increased by 25%. Now, again, why this is important is, again, these numbers are actual numbers that were shared by companies, and achieving those numbers is really difficult. If you ask any product managers here, like, okay, what is your quarter goal? Hardly anybody will say increasing conversion by 20% ever. So with that, I'll move on to the next slide here. And this is something, a different take I want to take. By the way, how many of you know this guy or have seen the photo or have reference about him? Anybody? Good, one person. Thanks. So this is the fictional character of Mr. General Lude. As Robin Hood, he was also one of the fiction characters from the London, but his implications were real. During the 1990s Industrial Revolution, there were many armies formed around him. Okay, those were famously called as Luddites. You can even see this word right now as a Luddites going around. What Luddites used to do is, at that time in 1990, when Industrial Revolution was starting, and viewers were getting replaced with mechanical viewers, the machines and all, the Luddites will go burn down factories, issue warrants, or issue warnings to the factory owners to stop using anything that is mechanical or going to automate. The fear that they had was, by doing this industrial revolution, their jobs will go away, they will be hungry, and they will die. And due to which there was a huge revolution across Europe, across UK specifically, which was funded by this. Okay. Now, why I'm bringing it out now? Because as per me, working in IT, I see agentic AI is driving a similar phobia that people are getting scared that, oh, people are getting laid off. Like last year itself, I suppose the number crossed 13, 15,000 altogether. But yes, in the initial days, there will be friction for any technology that will be coming in. I do remember I was passed out of 2009. Many of my friends, when they joined different companies, they were working on COBOL or mainframe computers. When AWS came, many people had to really change what they were working on or were laid off. But if I look at my friends right now, they are like principal architects in AWS because they were able to recalibrate themselves. So the focus here is to how we will be able, how we should be able to recalibrate ourselves for the changes that is coming up. And it is really exciting to see all of you here to embrace this overall change that is coming up. Now, before we get into it and before I hand over to Stephen, a few basics like what is agentic AI? Onto agentic AI, to come onto the same page, the basic definition is the system with agency. The idea or the focus here is on agency, where we are giving the autonomous capability to the system for us to go and do any specific action on our behalf. It is not only for you to go and search for data. No, you want agent would be called an agent when he makes a decision for you. Second is goal oriented. Current AI agents are not 100% sticking to the goal, but that's okay. They need to be goal oriented and they should be able to think in multi step. Okay. And they are proactive, adaptable. Adaptable means, let's say I ask my AI agent to help me set up a meeting with somebody in Google. Basis the calendar availability, it should be able to adapt. If the person in front is not available, it should respond to me. Oh, the person is not available tomorrow. Would you be okay to go ahead for next week? Thus, adaptability is required. A multi-step execution is required, and a whole workflow orchestration. By workflow orchestration, it is usually not a single agent that would be working. It would need to work with multiple different agents. I'll give you a brief comparison between a traditional system, an API, and an AI agent. And let's take example of Salesforce. Salesforce, which is known for abundance of AI agent. It has around like million different AI agents it has created by now. If you go on Salesforce and you ask Salesforce, help me book meeting with my top performing client from last year, the current system will help you understand who was the top performing client from last quarter, depending on to the overall booking that overall revenue you are able to generate, and it will stop at that. But when we talk about an AI agent, it should be able to go search the data, let you know, okay, IBM, for example, was the top performing client for you. Connect with IBM's calendar, identify the PIC who is there onto that account, and connect a meeting with him, and also get back to you that, okay, the meeting has been scheduled for Monday, 9 a.m. Do you want to also have a coffee meeting? You want to have a lunch meeting with that person? Should I go ahead and book any more cafes for you? So that is a level of adaptability that we are talking about. Why I'm calling this out is, if you go on LinkedIn, even now, there will be many posts. Oh, I built an agent, and somebody replying, this could have been an API. That is the case right now, that the line between an intelligent API and an agent is quite blurred right now. And it is okay. We don't need to go in detail of defining, no, what you're doing is not an agent. What I am doing is an agent. We don't need to. Now, other lens of looking off at agents is, what is the task or what is the goal that they are completing? Now, I'll explain this from Rakuten's perspective or from an e-commerce perspective. When we look at agents, we usually group them into three major categories, depending on to what is the target user base they are serving for. At the core of it, there are agents that are going to help the end customer. It can be as basic as an agent who is going to help you summarize the reviews that were written by the previous persons. Amazon has Rufus, Rakuten also has one where you can go and ask specifically that, oh, I'm looking for clothes for my kids to be worn in Japan during the summer holidays. Can you go through the reviews and let me know if people are complaining about the fitting or any other rashes? So that's an agent that is going to help the customer make a conscious decision on buying it. Second is the merchant enablers. My team, we are part of the visual intelligence. We work currently into this area of how we are able to help our merchants to go ahead and optimize their overall listings, optimize the advertisement that they have created using AI agents. We have recently launched a few AI agents that help the end merchants to create advertisements and to optimize the advertisement by looking at the performance data. Third, and currently the hottest one right now, is the employee productivity agents. Here, there will be agents right now which Anthropic has recently launched, which goes through your code base, identifies if there is some security vulnerability, fixes those bugs for you, and also sometimes picks up a infrastructure monitoring task for you and does majority of it. Sorry. Recently, there was a very interesting term that was coined for this. There was a CTO from a big company, I forgot the name, who came and said, "We are rushing to AGI. We should be focusing on EGI." EGI, as per him, he was coining it as Enterprise General Intelligence. Agents that will go and take care of all the enterprise capabilities. For it can be as basic as you are Nike, your supplier who's sending shoes or a specific foam has some issues. The agent should now go and unblock you onto the supply chain. Those kind of agents will go and drive the employee productivity agents. Now, with that, I'll move on to the next part of what are the impacts that we see. Okay, by the way, I should have started with this. The talk would be structured in a way that I'll first focus on to the business impacts, the economic impact that AI agents are currently driving. Then I'll hand it over to Stephen, who will go through the technology impact and also walk you through an exact case study or the implementation that he is currently doing at Rakuten. So, starting on to the economic impact that we are witnessing. Taking a couple of steps back, in the, I'll say, 20 years back, specifically when the internet was booming and coming up, the difference between the pre-internet era and the internet era, as coined by Ben Thompson, was the aggregation theory. Aggregation theory is quite simple. It says for any business to succeed, you need to have three players: the suppliers, the distributors, and the customers. Usually, it would be the suppliers who would be dominating the market, and they are the one who would then backtrack and capture the suppliers and distributors coming together. A good example here was your broadcasting channels. Let's say it is CNN or any other broadcasting channels who owns the distribution. They went back, brought content, and they started to provide to you and created a monopoly. During the internet era, that part changed. Pre-internet era, having that customer interaction with lack of customers was quite difficult. Internet changed it because the cost of interacting with each and every customer was reduced down to zero. And with the aggregation theory, it changed into a full funnel. And this is where the majority of the companies, the trillion-dollar companies of today, are currently driving. Where, for example, Amazon, in the pre-Amazon or pre-internet era, if you are a book publisher, you had to shortlist a couple of writers, you had to onboard them. Once they were onboarded, you had to do deals with Barnes and Nobles and few other, and start putting your content or your books into there for the end distribution. Amazon changed it by Amazon providing the data directly to you, where you can directly go and buy. So this is how the funnel or the aggregation theory worked. I wanted to touch upon this because this is how we will now double click on it and understand what agents are doing and how agents are breaking this. So this is a traditional funnel that we have. We start with search. If you go on internet, let's start with Google search. You go on Google search, you search for a specific topic, you see 20 different blue lines. You click on one specific link that has been promoted or that has been shown to you most. You'll go through it, you'll do your research. If you find what you're looking for, good, you end on to the result stage, or you go ahead back and do your search. This has fueled the content that we currently consume, or even the content that our LLMs consume currently. But this whole funnel is now getting broken, especially because of the agents. Because in agentic framework, there are no clicks, there is no browsing. You provide a prompt, the agents are the one who are going to scrape the internet, understand what is happening, and provide directly with the result. The first order of impact here is directly onto the content producers who have been earning money by putting Google advertisement, Google links onto their websites and driving traffic here. But the second one, or the important one, is the e-commerce players. Why e-commerce is important? Because e-commerce is the place where internet has traditionally made money. E-commerce is the place where for the past, let's say 20 years, year on year, it has around $6.3 trillion worth of GMS going through e-commerce. To better explain this, let's go back 10 years when Amazon first introduced Amazon Buy Box. From our perspective, it was not a major change. If I was looking for a book, I'm searching on Amazon, I'm going on to Amazon. There are 20 different suppliers I see. I select one suppliers. They might have 1 or 2 days of difference on delivery. There might be a point cent of delivery fee or change in prices. I'll select one of them and done. By providing the buy box, Amazon first of all streamlined, or Amazon aggregated many things together. Now with the buy box, you don't see 20 different players who are currently selling the same box. What I see is only one buy button, and if required, I'll go and then look at other sellers. It changed the game for the sellers because now the onus was on to the sellers or to the merchant to actually be the preferred choice to be into the buy box. And then there were many content creators, many forums that were created to help merchants to become the buy box, to be the by default link to be placed into the buy box. Now, if you hold on to this thought, a similar one is now happening thanks to Agentic AI. The only change that is, it is moving up the funnel. Now, let's say this is an from Google AI mode for shopping. You go ahead, you select what is the item that you are interested in. You can track price and you can also set it up that, okay, when it goes below a specific price, buy it for me. And you'll get a notification once you hit it and select buy in. Here they have shown using Google Pay. You can also go ahead and complete the transaction. Now, what Amazon Buy Now box did was abstracting the sellers altogether. They commoditized the sellers altogether, and the power was placed with Amazon. What this kind of agentic AI shopping is doing, they are abstracting the power even for e-commerce players like Amazon, Rakuten, and all of it. You don't need to go to their website. There is no data that they are able to capture. And all the information now is purely segregated and completely abstracted by these players who are starting with search, drive engagement, are now trying to sell and will sell more items. Now, a basic one more, what to say, analysis I'd like to do. If you look at e-commerce players, why did they benefited or why did they won as compared to your D2C players? Let's say I'm a D2C player who I'm selling iPhone solid cases. There is a good example, Rhino Shield. Okay, I'm selling. Why I need to rely on Amazon, Rakuten, Shopee, all of it, rather than directly selling it on my website? Because what Amazon and other e-commerce players did was they perfected the user experience. They perfected the user experience by providing you a shopping mall experience. You need to go only onto that one website. You had to build trust onto that one website only to complete the transaction. You had your address saved there. You had your secure payments, everything saved there. So the whole hassle of you going ahead and first of all on a D2C brand, adding your address, providing the payment there information was completely removed, and it was segregated purely at the Amazon or any other e-commerce layer. Okay. And by perfecting the UI UX, if anybody of you here is product manager, will realize this. Like product managers like to do this kind of A/B testing continuously. Turn the button blue, green, red, and see what is the percentage of conversion change that is happening. Using that, they have continuously changed or continuously optimized the overall user experience. But Now with agentic AI, we see that benefit going away. And with that benefit, the whole customer data that all the e-commerce players used to own has also or is started to go away. Now, as part of data science, I don't want to again go and say what is the importance of data, but four quick points onto the data. By data, first of all, it is not trivial because Amazon has 35% of its sales coming in from recommendations engine. Recommendation engines are powered by the customer data, the customer who comes to your website, Amazon websites, and is purchasing. Apart from that, apart from the hyper personalized recommendation, Amazon powers dynamic pricing, where it is able to provide specific pricing to you as per the purchasing behavior, local stock prediction to make sure that the user experience is the best, and also provide seasonal nudges. Seasonal nudges, as in Japan, we have upcoming winter season, upcoming sakura season. They know in which region what will be sold the best because they own the customer data. And we see that customer data, specifically from e-commerce player, is now evaporating because people are now started to search directly on Google, AI mode, Perplexity Shopping. ChatGPT will also launch its shopping soon. And that's how all the data is moving away from e-commerce players up to these agentic AI players. Now, agentic AI has many implications across. What I did from my perspective, focus specifically on e-commerce because working in e-commerce, that's an area that I understand the most, and that's an area where I think I will be able to add value. Now, before giving it to Stephen, one quick like, okay, if you are an e-commerce players, what e-commerce players are doing? There are three routes any e-commerce player is taking. First, they are building their own AI agents. An own AI agent that is going to help the user to do a specific task or shopping. They are betting on last 20 years of data that they have collected that they will be able to provide a unique benefit that Google or even Perplexity or ChatGPT will not be able to provide. Others have started to integrate with leaders. If you go out and search, there are many notes and many blogs which explain how you can make your content more accessible and agent first. Which means if you search on ChatGPT, which is the best running shoot for a trail run in Singapore, the first result that you see should be my result. How you can do it is integrating with them. And third, there are few e-commerce players, we will not name, who are just waiting that, okay, this is just a fad. Nobody is actually going to use a chat GPT to do the purchase. They will at the end come to my website. So they are waiting onto it. So that's the overall presentation from my end. Now, Stephen will go ahead and provide what Rakuten or what is the route Rakuten is taking to build on this.
Okay, so firstly, I want to introduce myself first. I'm Stefan, the lead product manager at AI Lab Rakuten. So before Rakuten, actually, I have quite a diverse experience. I have been in the marketing industry. I have done team manager for engineering and also pre-sales, then eventually land on the product manager roles. So that also gave me the different exposures and opportunities to work on these new technologies. Yeah. So earlier last year or 1.5 years ago, actually in Rakuten, we start to explore this idea of Rakuten AI, where we want to utilize a personalized AI assistant to help users' daily life, but at the same time, use AI to boost diverse experience across the Rakuten ecosystem. So before I introduce further, so just watch an recent sharing from Rakuten AI here. So earlier in 31st of August, our company announced Rakuten AI at Optimism event, which is one of the biggest technology events conference in Japan. Just a teaser here. So not sure if anyone is familiar with Rakuten. So actually Rakuten, besides Rakuten Ichiba, which does e-commerce marketplace, they also cover some here. They also cover basically every aspect of life that you can think of. They have mobile business, they have fintech, banking, security, insurance, sports, entertainment, and life and leisure. So they actually have 70 different sub-businesses under these Rakuten groups. So with the booming opportunity of LLM, naturally it makes us rethink what are the new opportunities that with this generative AI technology that we can offer to both the customers as well as the Rakuten ecosystem. So let me give you a very simple example that we came up first. So for example, in the shopping domain, in a general like e-commerce marketplace, when user type a question like birthday gift idea, how do you answer them perfectly? So actually one missing link here is that the underlying intent. So when user type a general search keyword, you don't know what is the job to be done they are trying to achieve, and you don't know what is the exact thing they are trying to solve. So for example, birthday gift idea, you don't know who is it for, you know what does the recipient like, how old are they, what are their preferences, so on and so forth. So that's where conversational AI can step into the way. So with the conversational AI, actually you can use a conversational way to better understand the intent of the customer, and better understanding of the customer, you can provide more personalized suggestions across the Rakuten ecosystem. And with this better suggestion, you basically provide better quality to the user, and in return, users spend longer time on the Rakuten ecosystem. And this longer time also in turn give you more opportunities for you to create values. For example, create more personalized content and give them more inspirations. So this become a value flywheel that we can achieve with the generative AI technology. So today I want to share actually a bit of insight with the development journey behind. Was it easy to build? What are the challenges and highlights we have seen throughout the way? So the first thing is that I think naturally with the AI agent idea, we want to turn every Rakuten service into an AI agent and become a holistic AI agent system that can provide value to the customers. That was a simple and straightforward idea that we want to explore first. So at the very beginning, actually, our team did a quick prototype, which actually we did it within a week. So with a conversational way, we use a LLM-based middleware, which classify the intent of the user query into different type of scenarios. For example, you can, based on the user's question, determine whether it's a shopping-related questions, whether it's a travel-related question, or fintech-related questions. Then based on the intent classification, just simply route it to the corresponding agents to handle this task. So it sounds very straightforward. And within 1 or 2 weeks, we are able to connect one which is able to answer general AI general questions based on these friend agents, which can do casual chat, it can help you do web research, give you knowledge, and you can also connect it with a shopping agent, which help you search products on Ichiba marketplace, on Rakuma, which is like a second-hand marketplace, and they can also search from Rakuten Fashion or Rakuten Books, so on and so forth. And this actually help us, impress our stakeholders and establish this project. But the challenge is always from demo to production. So actually demo only take us like 20% of the time, but from demo to production, actually this is the challenging part, which takes 80% of the efforts. So I want to dive into this 80% part here. So actually getting production ready involves many different aspects. It involves evaluation, quality, consistency, and also not only the technical part, it also involves even the direction, which one you want to dive deeper, and also performance and AI safety, so on and so forth. So for example, the first thing came into our mind is like which product direction we should go with. Do we want to go broad, cover all the domains of Rakuten services at once? Or do we go deep, focus on one of the domain first and provide more value to the users? So after some experiment and internal discussion, actually one realization we have is that the context is the key. So for example, when you visit when you visit an agent inside Ichiba, naturally the context is shopping oriented. Then most of the question user asks is around this context. And the first user impression, or the first question they try is probably shopping related. But for example, when you build a general AI assistant platform like ChatGPT or Perplexity, then naturally it's a general purpose. So they may ask different kind of questions, and you may like to handle both. So how we evolve is that we turn this idea into a portfolio of different products. So first of all, our company launched the Rakuten AI 2.0 just earlier this month, which is a general purpose platform that handle most of the Rakuten services. And also, we also try to cover some niche long tail use cases. For example, you can have a virtual agent that help your doctor learn English. You can have agent help you write poem. You can have agent that give you song recommendations, so on and so forth. So this become a live assistant that help you through all your daily lives. But at the same time, we also built this vertical AI assistant that help the users into each of the existing Rakuten applications. For example, Rakuten Link is a mobile applications that help users to make phone calls, to send text messages. Then while they are doing this, potentially they can have other shopping needs, needs for finding books to recommend, so on and so forth. And at the same time, we also are building one AI assistant for Ichiba, and this one is definitely more shopping focused. And because it's more shopping focused, we can bias the competition into more product suggestions. Yeah. So I'll focus more on the case study for the Rakuten AI for Ichiba, which we are currently building. So if you look at the shopping journey itself, it actually spans across different stages. So from the early funnel early funnel exploration, you can help the user identify users' needs. You can give them inspiration. You can help them to do product research. You can help them visualize the product information better. You can help them compare options, which go into the decision-making stage, understand the product reviews, find more about the product details, so on and so forth. So there are actually a lot of things you can do. But how do we decide which one to do first? Before going into that, let me share a little bit a snapshot of what we are trying to build for the first phase 1 release. So first of all, once the user go into a shopping experience with a shopping conversational query, they can easily see product recommendations. And these recommendations naturally leads to the existing Ichiba experience itself. For example, when they click on the product item, it goes back to the same product item detail page that currently Ichiba have, so they can easily navigate back and forth between the existing UI. From the red arrow key here, they can go into the existing search result page so that we can preserve the current advertisement revenue, the current ranking, and so that we can avoid cannibalization of the business model. And at the same time, we can also provide users with more valuable information. For example, if they are exploring beachside handbag, besides recommending the products, actually Ichiba also have a lot of curated contents. For example, shopping guides, for example, blog articles. So we can also use Agentic Rec to surface this type of content in the red context. And at the same time, not all the users' question may be directly shopping oriented. So for example, if the user is specifically asking for a product, then we can skip the text response and just give them the product directly and help them make a choice. But for example, some of the other questions may be occasional based or maybe life hacks or knowledge based. For example, this question here, the user is asking for, what kind of barbecue ingredients or barbecue accessories I need to prepare for summer party. So first of all, the AI can give you a very thorough answers that help you achieve your own goals. But at the same time, if anything here is shoppable within the Rakuten ecosystem, at the same time, we can also surface this product directly to the users. So if they really need something, they can easily access it from within the result itself. It saves them the efforts to just do another search again. Yeah. Similarly, the shopping intent may go across not only Ichiba, but also other commerce services Rakuten have. Then we can also address this cross-service intent from the chat interface itself and recommend, for example, the secondhand items in the same chat window if the user want to have a more budget-oriented options. And also, well, we cannot integrate all the Rakuten services deeply enough for the first launch. We can also build a simple RAG knowledge base that document all the Rakuten service. So if they ask other general questions, for example, what kind of insurance I need to do, I think this is car insurance, then we can also surface the Rakuten insurance link to the users. So address these upsell and cross-sell needs. Yeah. Last but not least, I think another opportunity is to bridge the offline to online opportunities. So I'm not sure any of you have traveled to Japan. So for example, when I travel to Japan, I always confuse myself into pharmaceutical stores, into the beauty stores. You know, my wife asked me to find some lipsticks or eyeliner in the beauty store. Then I also always don't know which one is which. So it's very easy for users to take a photo to this shopping assistant. Then it can give you detailed product answers, but at the same time help you find similar options within the Ichiba ecosystem itself, so that user can know what this product is, what it can help you for, and then find similar options or cheaper options online. Yeah, so that's the kind of the angle we are trying to achieve. But how did we get to that stage? So this is the 4-step process that help us go through this journey. I think the first one is very importantly set the goal and North Star that you want to achieve. And this need to be time bounded. It cannot be too ambitious, so that it help you constrain what you can achieve and how you define this process. So I won't go into detail here. This is like a sample framework for us to define the objective, the frameworks and metrics. Then next step is to choose the use case that you want to focus first. For example, this slide shows the first potential use case that we can look at for. But in the end, we choose some of the early funnel shopping use case first. And the way we choose that is that we look at existing user survey data and the user engagement data on Ichiba, and we focus on those which basically are high demand, high traffic, but at the same time currently is showing low satisfaction score. So users do have this strong need on the Ichiba system, but those kind of use cases are not easily satisfiable by the existing search, browse, or recommendation experience. So those could be the potential opportunity for us to complement or add on to the existing experience with these conversational ways. So for example, shopping for hobbies, maybe it's very hard to find these niche products with a traditional search box, or maybe for essential daily shopping, but relatively inexpensive. Maybe it's too tedious to search and browse again. Or those kind of things that user may have a specific preference or conditions. Usually it's very hard to express in the search box again. Then those kind of things are the things that conversational AI can probably provide additional values. Then there are also other things that we can address in the future phases. So how we expand from there is that for this type of use case, basically we list down the shopping stage, the potential intent behind each stage. For example, let me use a product exploration stage as an example. Behind product exploration, there could be different things. For example, product discovery, there could be gift ideas, or maybe occasional or theme-based discovery. And then from there, we can think of different conversational examples. It could be either a simple example or maybe a complex example, because now we are a conversational query. So user may express a lot of intent or preferences in the conversation itself. Similarly, we can also create example for after purchase, for cross-use examples. And so this is the use case framework definition. Then after that, the next challenge is how do you do evaluation and quality? And this is actually the biggest challenge we have, because think of a very simple question. How do you define what a good answer is when you talk to a conversational AI? Yeah. So actually, this is a very open-ended question, and no one can give you the perfect answer yet. I think for ChatGPT, for Claude Perplexity, they are also start trying to explore it. So how we tackle this is to really look at the use case specifically and break it down into individual component. So this is kind of the framework that we end up using. So first of all, start from the use cases. Because we have defined a specific objective and specific use case, that help us to utilize the AI-based user simulator and generate hundreds or thousands of different simulated user conversations. It could be multi-turn conversation simulated between AI, AI users and AI sales. Yeah, and then this generated conversation can become a valuable data set that contains the questions, the answers, the products that are recommended, and also the potential user persona and profile we predefined. And then we pass this data set into our context-aware LM evaluator. And here, the very important thing is that we also define the criteria for success so that they can systematically and structurally evaluate and calculate the metrics, and more importantly, help us identify the failure patterns that we can improve on. So I think a lot of people know this LM as a judge methodology, and they are skeptical about it. But from our standpoint, I think the final score that it generates is not the most important part, but actually the failure pattern is the very useful asset. Because from these failure patterns, then you can identify where are the improvement opportunities, and also give you a chance to improve further. Yeah, then from that, we can come up with an evaluation dashboard, then see which are the biggest area that we need to improve one by one. And how do we define the success criteria? So for example, this is a sample answer by the AI assistant in a shopping scenario. The user is asking for show me best smartphone under $800 with good cameras. So first of all, usually the AI will answer with some text response. So here we can measure by a general chat coherence, whether your text response is relevant to what the user is asking for, and whether it's accurate and helpful. So you can also measure it by the accuracy and the factualness and the timeliness of this answer. After that, with the AI-driven product recommendation or product search, you can measure these products which are recommended in terms of relevance. Here we can define probably a multiple scale of the relevance of these products to the user's query. And then you can also measure whether you have actually recommended anything to the user or not. Because one challenge we also realize, sometimes even the user asks specifically to shop for something, the LM may not really call the functions or call the tools. So it may just give you a random answer with no product suggested at all. So those kind of things you can measure by shopping completion. And last but not least, in order to facilitate the smoothness and the flow of the conversation, we also generate these question suggestions at the end of the answers. And then these type of question suggestions, again, you can measure by the coherence of this part. So in the end, this is just a sample metrics. We can measure, for example, for each of the sample use case, what are the parts that you are doing well, which are the parts that you can potentially improve, so on and so forth. Then this gives us insight into where we need to look in further. And also, I think one good part of starting from the evaluation and use case definition is that this can help us drive the architecture. I think since everyone here is interested in agentic architecture, so there are so many architectures available in the industry. So which one to choose? There are so many opinions, pros and cons, and so forth. So actually, by specifying the use case and the boundaries, they help us define the architecture as well. So for example, this is the original architecture that we start with, which inherited from the demo at the very beginning. First of all, this is, I think, usually it's called a supervisor agent type of architecture. The user query come in, it goes through an intent classification agent first. Then based on the classified intent, you route it to the different sub-agents. But because as we grow the number of use cases, for example, even for shopping domain itself, there are also other agent use cases underneath it. Then there are also like sub use cases. So you have another layer of intent classification again. So this have many actually drawbacks and limitations. So first of all, the intent classification accuracy become the bottleneck. If the intent is routed wrongly, then you most likely get a very weird or funny answer. And also with 2 layers of intent classification, it also increase a lot of the first token latency. It also, limit the experience you can offer to the users. And also by then, I think we don't have the MCP server. And because you have so many different sub agents, and most of them share the different function call or use the similar type of API. So you also need to, do this API integration, many times again and again. Yeah. So the newer type of agent framework like we are trying now is like the recent handoff architecture, which are initiated by OpenAI. I think the benefit of this architecture is that, first of all, I think it removes the dependency of this intent classification step. So immediately once the user query come in, the supervisor agent itself will decide which agent to go first. But even if it routed wrongly, you still have a chance to route it back to the supervisor agent and ask another agent to handle it. And another benefit, if I go back to this, so we also realized sometimes the user's intent may be vague or cross-functional. For example, I may want to travel next week, help me plan some hotel itinerary, but at the same time, help me think of what things I need to bring in order to, enjoy this trip at the beach. Yeah, so this actually involves both shopping as well as travel. So with this single direction, intent classification architecture, then you can only satisfy one of the intent user express. But with this handoff architecture, potentially you can address this vague query. You can address this cross-functional query as well. And also another thing we have implemented is this new MCP concept. And we have utilized a single MCP integration layer to unify the integration with the different type of tools or solutions that we can integrate with. So let me share some examples on how the MCP actually helps. So I won't go through this in detail. I assume everyone is very familiar with the function call and MCP protocol. So actually, let me start from here. So I think for the function call, one of the limitation is that I think it's tightly coupled with the integration logics. So for every function call, how do you call the API? You need to implement it into your agent system itself. And this tightly coupled logics actually add a lot of burdens and inflexibility into our system architecture design. But the benefit of MCP is that basically you decouple this integration logic into a remote MCP server. And the beauty of that is that, for example, for an organization like Rakuten, you have so many businesses, so many departments, so many APIs. You can actually leverage on the domain expertise from these different departments who own the API to build an MCP server for yourself. And once it is built, you can reuse it and share this best practice to all the other teams as well. So you don't need to really re-implement it multiple times. And also because it's remotely hosted, it's also highly scalable. It won't really impact your agent architecture or your agent performance that much. So each team can work independently on the MCP implementations. And you just need to hook on it once it is ready. Yeah. So actually, let me see. Yeah. Another benefit of that is that some of the API itself might be very challenging to integrate with. For example, for e-commerce marketplace, usually, when you do a search query, the user may need to use certain filter as well. For example, when you search for a shoe, you want a shoe size 34. You may want to have a red shoe. You may want to have a leather shoe. So usually in the e-commerce system, all these are represented as tags, which in the system is stored as some numerical value, which LM cannot interpret with. But with the MCP server, actually you can describe this in a very verbal or lexical way. And then the LM will just retrieve these two definitions, understand it, and call it accordingly. So it removes all the custom integration, mapping, ETL logics you need to do at the agent side. Yeah, and besides that, I think another thing that help us collaborate a lot more is this MCP debugger, which published by the official MCP team. I think this is basically like these old days, the API integration tools that you can easily list all the tools you have, and you can easily try each of the two by passing in a parameter and see what kind of response you get. Yeah, so that's all the insights and experience and the knowledge we have gained from this experience. So if anyone is interested in trying the Rakuten AI, this is the Rakuten AI 2.0, where we have all the different use cases integrated. So feel free to scan this QR code to give us feedbacks. Yeah, thank you. That's all from my side.
Thank you so much for these presentations. I think they were really quite thorough and detailed. It's quite rare to find like such great presentations. I think now we can open up to Q&A. So if any of you all have any questions, can just raise your hand. I'll pass you a mic. Yeah. Hello.
Hello, Stefan. Thank you for this great presentation. I have many questions. I'll just ask one.
Okay.
Was there any personalization based on user data during the chat e-commerce recommendation?
This is one area that we are actively experimenting. But currently, I would say for the very initial release, we haven't included because there are a lot of things that we need to still do along the roadmap. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but I'll probably expand on this answer. I think for personalization, actually, there are a lot of potential. And actually, I think that is the biggest mode for this agentic AI. For example, personally, when I use different AI tools, I find myself stick to ChatGPT because my historical conversation is always in ChatGPT. So it helped me to build this context for all these conversations, and it's very easy to expand from there. So I think similarly, I think for this existing e-commerce or ecosystem, they have a lot of data, a lot of past interaction with the users, and these data are the most valuable asset for them to provide a different, unique experience from these agentic AI interactions. Yeah.
Can I ask a follow-up question?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because also traditionally we've been using classical machine learning recommendation engines in e-commerce, right? And LLMs aren't quite as good as that. The question is, how do we implement smart recommendation engines directly inside the chats? Because most of the time, RAG with only text data isn't enough and isn't very efficient. But then do we call the classical recommendation engine using MCP? Do we do a mix and still use vector database? Like, what is your approach on this?
Yeah. My personal take is that there are pros and cons with the different type of approaches. So, for example, for Rakuten, they are already very established search and recommendations systems, which are using these machine learning-based personalizations there. But because I think those are already very advanced, but because the limited information or input, it limits its performance. So usually we use them as the recall layer to retrieve the first level of information or product that we can suggest to the users. But then some additional value that the LM layer can help provide is, for example, based on your past conversation with the LM agent, you can build this personal profile. And for the additional information user expressed in the past conversation, you can build this like price sensitivity, the preference, or even something you hate. And those things can help to even re-rank those products that are recalled from the traditional, like, not traditional, like the recommendation engines. Yeah.
Yeah, it's quite the subject. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lee, for sharing your journey. I'm interested in evals. In one of your chart, you show that the shopping completion as your so-called a checkpoint. As you also know that the the decision to make a purchase is complicated. I'm interested to know how you do your A/B testing to identify which part of the journey contribute or not contributing to the result.
Oh, actually, let me clarify. For the shopping completion here, it doesn't really mean that the user finished the shopping, but actually we use that as a metrics to measure. For example, in conversational shopping experience, after multi-turn, if the user still asks for some product or give some additional preference, do you still continue recommend products? Because one limitation we identify with the LM is that it doesn't always call the tools as you like. So there are some randomness in it. So I think these are type of things that we can resolve by changing different agent architecture instead. So we actually use these metrics to measure whether when user want to see something, we show something or not. Yeah. But in terms of the overall shopping stage and A/B testing, because this product isn't launched yet, so actually we are still actively developing how do we measure this performance, how do we A/B test. But one of the thesis I have is that the conversational AI is not an alternative for replacement of the existing search, recommendation, and browse. So it's actually an add-on or complementary to these experiences. So user over time may find things that they do better with the traditional search. For example, if the user already know what they are looking for, maybe iPhone 16, then they just search. It's way faster. But if there are some occasional based questions, for example, I want to buy a birthday gift for my wife. So I won't try with search because I know it won't give me satisfactory answers. So probably a chat, I can engage it with it more and provide more preferences. Then eventually it may give you a more satisfactory answer instead. So I think it's an incremental value, not A/B, yeah, in a sense, yeah. But we still need to test this hypothesis.
Hello, thanks, Stephen, for the presentation. It's more of a clarification. I think in one of the slides you mentioned that there is a multi-turn conversation between two AI systems, and that was used as the data. So how many such conversations were used? That's one part. The second part was the evaluation of like some metrics that you have identified, that how many turns were there in the conversation and so on. Maybe the shopping completion bit. Was that done by humans? Like, was it human verified? Or was it again an AI was used? The third part is what next, or like what did you derive from this? Like, were you tweaking prompts, and was it an iterative process throughout? Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so I think first of all, in terms of the number of examples, so that actually depends on your objective for this evaluation. So as I mentioned, our objective is not really to generate, for example, accuracy score. So that actually doesn't mean anything because it's LM generated. It cannot be used as a benchmark or baseline. But our objective is really to quickly find out bad case or maybe failure patterns or improvement opportunities. So in that sense, I think roughly generate 100 or 200 examples for every use case is already sufficient enough for us to realize the pattern. And in terms of how do we analyze the result? So we actually run all these simulated conversation into LM as a judge, then come up with these findings. Then for the findings, usually our data scientists will look at particularly the failure case manually, and then see whether they can gather any insight from there. And the mitigation to this failure case could be a mix of prompt adjustment, could be improving even simple things like how do you call the search API. Sometimes you may add additional space in between. It may already improve the quality, because the traditional search engine is trained by the human search patterns. So human may like to add a space in between, just an example. Then probably the machine learning model is trained to work better like that. And also it could be leading to the architecture improvement. For example, as I mentioned, for the first agent architecture we have, actually we have a very poor shopping completion rate. This feel like the simplest question to resolve, but somehow the LM just cannot perform as we expected. So actually we did some architecture improvement after that, and it's able to generate 100% of the shopping completion whenever the user asks for something related to shopping. Yeah, a pleasure.
Hi, I have another question. So, okay, yeah, you mentioned that the AI agents are meant to be complementary to the traditional search. So, what's the likelihood? Do you have like a KPI in mind? What's the likelihood of people, the percentage of people using the AI agent versus those who use the traditional search? I ask that is because currently it seems that there are several observers talking about AI agents that currently is kind of overhyped. The real-world use cases of AI agents include coding. I mean, right now, the real-world use cases where AI agents are really used are coding, search, and research. Maybe to some extent, customer service. So I just wonder what do you think will be the likely result of having having an AI agent where most consumers are possibly used to using traditional search, or perhaps if they were to use an AI agent, they will use AI Perplexity to search, because there might be a perception that if I were to use like a Rakuten search, Rakuten agent, it will be biased versus like Perplexity, where the recommendations will be more neutral.
Yeah, I think this is a very valid question, and that is also the reason we diversify our portfolio into different products so that we can test different hypotheses. So as I mentioned, I think the context is very important. So for example, if you go into a general, let's say Rakuten AI 2.0, so you may expect it to be able to handle everything, and you naturally can be skeptical about the answers it provides because it's offered by Rakuten. Rakuten have so many businesses, so the recommendation may be skewed or biased towards Rakuten recommendations. So this is already one hypothesis we need to test. But then at the same time, for example, if you are using Rakuten AI within Ichiba, so you're already going to Ichiba to shopping, then you won't really judge these like biased results, but you just want to use this AI agent to help you better find these products. So that is also another hypothesis that we need to test. So that's the reason we have the different portfolio. And since we haven't launched, so I cannot give you the exact number, like we are expecting like people switch between each one of the other. But one lesson or reflection I have also related to the example you mentioned about like coding, productivity tools, so on and so forth. So if you think about conversational AI, actually it increased the customer's effort, because in a traditional search or browse way, you only need to click a button or just enter a short keyword. Then you already see results, and you just need to scroll and decide. That's it. But in the conversational AI, first of all, the user need to manually think of an answer to ask. We call it prompt, but usually, because of cultural issue, language issue, it's very hard for users to even think of a good answer or accurate answer to ask. So this add a mental burden. And not to mention that typing is the most annoying thing I think most people try to avoid. So unless your result is really 10 times or 100 times better than the existing way, I don't think most people will switch fully to the conversational way to replace all the current workflow or current activity they do on the traditional UI UX. And that is also why I feel AI coding, AI PowerPoint, I cannot remember the others succeed, because AI coding really help you save 100% of the effort. Even if you write a simple query here, but it save you the time to write 100 line of code, or maybe AI PowerPoint, you may spend day or night trying to adjust the space, but AI coding, AI PowerPoint just help you do it automatically. So that's also why I think for AI shopping, it won't fully replace the traditional way of recommendation, search, and browse, because it actually add additional burden to the users. Just imagine you are on the train, you are holding a smartphone. Will you type all your questions to a chat? It won't happen. So only for those type of things that you cannot really find inspiration or search or find the results from the traditional way, then probably you will think about this conversational AI to help you address those needs. And also another thing we haven't really launched in the phase one is that you can contextually help the users to come up with the question or the problem they may have while they are browsing the existing ecosystem or the interface. And then those pre-generated questions may just magically hit the user need and they just click on it and help them solve it. Then that could also save the user's effort, at the same time provide them a better and smoother or more powerful experience. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, thanks for the sharing. Question is, at the beginning, there was this whole mention of agency, right? And from an agency point of view, two levels. One on search, extraction, summarization. I fully understand the power of this. When it comes to taking actions which are transactional in nature, like booking travel bookings or purchase completion, etc., how are you putting the right guardrails around it that the transaction it does, because that's like almost like irreversible stuff. How are you making sure that that transaction is the right as intended, etc.? Is it always, do you always leave it to the end user to do the final click, or does the agent actually take the action?
Yeah, that's a very good question. Just to clarify, for the initial launch, we actually don't let the agent do the action yet. Although we are also behind the scene, we are exploring this activity. So from my personal take, I think beyond technology, there are many factors to consider about this. There could be privacy. For example, for the Japanese consumer market is very privacy focused, and also it's also very trust oriented. So how do you earn the trust that you can let the AI do something for you? Yeah, I do see some use case or demo from a Chinese company, for example. I don't know whether anyone you know Auto GLM. So in their demonstration video, they show some use case which help the users navigate or achieve some small daily tasks. For example, when you are driving, order milk tea, help you browse email, so on and so forth. But in return, you actually give a lot of access to the AI agent to help you process information. So, and we tried that technology. I think it's not perfect yet. So while the technology mature, I think there's also a layer of user education, gaining user trust and addressing all the potential risks and the privacy issues at the same time. So from our side, we are not rushing to launch this type of innovations yet. Yeah.
Thank you for the sharing and presentation. I'm more interested in how you build a simulator.
Yeah, for the simulator, sorry, I'm not a data scientist, so I don't know the full detail. But basically, you just feed it with the different type of use cases. First of all, me as the product manager, I need to really break down the different type of use case. For example, whether the user is trying to find a gift for their relative, or maybe they are planning for some occasion, maybe it's Christmas, Father's Day, so on and so forth. Or maybe they are just doing general exploration. I want to buy a new DSLR. What are factors I need to consider for. So as you really list out this use case taxonomy, then you can just build a prompt to let the pick one of the use case as a seed and let LM generate, for example, 20 different examples, and then just ask another LM to continue this conversation naturally as like your user or maybe your shopping assistant. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any more questions?
Oh. Yeah, sorry. Oh.
So with regards to the workflow, right, is it possible that sometimes the evaluation results may drop across time, right? How do you handle that?
Yeah, so if it drop suddenly, then there are usually a couple of reasons. For example, the prompt change caused some issue, or architecture change caused some issue, or maybe because we switch the AI models, or sometimes when some of the provider release the new model, the old model is drop performance. That also happened to us. So we need to really identify this type of root cause and then analyze it. Yeah. But because it's LMS adjust, so there are also some randomness in terms of the result it generates. So we also need to bear in that factor. Yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah.
How good is GPT-5?
Sorry?
How good is GPT-5
Uh,
on your evals?
from my personal advice, don't call me. I think they are not really ready for production use yet. Yeah.
So will guests be here? Speakers will be here for a while, right? Yeah. So I guess we can end this here while anyone else who has a question can come up and ask the speakers. We conduct such meetups every month. So if it's your first time here, do come again. And yeah, thank you. Thank you guys for coming. Huh? Topic for next month, I think not quite sure. I think we'll announce it as soon as we have more details. Yeah.
Okay, so just one last shout out. Currently, Rakuten is actually hiring for junior AI engineers as well as tech lead and technical PMs. So if anybody is keen, you can approach me, or alternatively, just keep a lookout for our LinkedIn page. So the roles will be up, hope by sometime next week. Yeah, thank you.